Hey guys, how's it going? It's Rustbelt Collector here, and I am very happy, extremely happy even, to be reviewing the Star Wars Black Series Crosshair from the Bad Batch, made by Hasbro. This figure is just, it is so cool. But starting off as we usually do, here is the box. There's this very nice side art of Crosshair here. I believe right here would be Hunter, and then on this side is the Special Operations Trooper, or whatever. I forget the name of it, but the Covert Operations Trooper, the other clone trooper. So you got Hunter, and you got the clone trooper, and then the rest of the characters will line up down this way. And honestly, this is kind of one of the lines that I'm actually not necessarily going completionist on, but I am, for once, getting all the figures that will line up next to each other, which is going to be kind of cool for display purposes. But yeah, it's in this nice like dark red color, which matches the armor of the Bad Batch characters. That's going to be the new box color for this in the Black Series. Everything else about this is just your standard Black Series packaging with the artwork on the side, picture window, words there, a nice artwork piece here, as well as a write-up about the character. I don't think that there's any spoilers here, so you can probably pause and read that without being at risk for spoilers, though I do know that there was like a leak about the back of one Bad Batch packaging, and I don't know which one that was. At any rate, here he is, Crosshair, and I'm going to be a little bit biased in this review, I think, because I absolutely love this figure. I love the character to begin with, but now I love both this figure and the character. So as usual, on this channel, we start off with the accessories. He has your standard DC-17 pistol, just like Captain Rex and any of the other clone troopers. That goes onto that holster right there on his hip, which is very nice. There's nothing new about that. It's the same use of the holster and blaster that we've seen with countless other figures. But this is entirely new. This is Crosshair's sniper rifle, and it looks absolutely beautiful. It is in that more animated style. There's definitely detail that's missing if this was realistic, but overall it matches what it is in the show, and it looks pretty amazing. If I had to gripe about it, and I really don't, but if I had to, I would say that the thing that's missing are some paint apps. I could really do with, you know, maybe some scope rings painted on, maybe some blue or red lights where it would be lit up for, you know, the charge, I guess. Those are a few things that I would have liked to have seen with this, but overall, the sculpt is there and it looks amazing. And as you probably saw in the intro, it breaks apart. Now, I don't exactly know if it breaks apart in the show or if it actually like folds up in the show, but it is very cool that they went to the trouble of making it storable on the figure itself. So you can just pack it in right there to the backpack. The barrel has this little peg right there, and then you can see there's the hole on the backpack, and it just slots in right there. It's not going to fall out, but it definitely doesn't go in super tightly, so it might, you know, fall off if you bump it with something or you drop the figure. Anything like that, you might lose the barrel, so just keep that in mind. And I guess since we're going over accessories, the backpack technically counts as an accessory. He doesn't really have any sculpting back there. It just goes on with this T-shaped peg, and that does go on pretty securely. That's not going to come off easily, so there's that, I guess. And then as sort of the final accessory, we of course have the removable helmet. It is a little bit snug, but underneath we have this very nice head sculpt of Crosshair. So overall, I think this is a perfect head sculpt. They did kind of capture the essence of the cartoon, a little bit of the essence of Tamora Morrison, though I think they erred more on the side of the cartoon than trying to go for a realistic look. But still, it looks really good. The face printing tech was very, very appreciated on this. The only weird thing, and maybe I'm the only one that thinks this, but the only weird thing that I noticed with this was the direction of his hair. So it seems like, and it does in the show as well, it seems like it's kind of like combed back or slicked back from the edges. But then when you come back here, he's got like a cowlick or something like that, and it seems like the hair is then flowing out from there. But does he just have like a comb over then? I don't think it's that way in the show. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's not, but it's kind of weird from back here. He just has that little indent, but if you just cover it up like this, then you don't have to think about it. But no, in actuality, I don't mind it that much. Plus, this is the side of the face that you're going to be looking at the most anyways, so it's not that big of a deal. And the helmet does go on pretty nicely. It doesn't feel too snug. It's also made out of a little bit more of a rubbery plastic, so I don't feel like there's ever going to be paint rub that's going to be going on, which is always a big concern when it comes to painted heads and removable helmets. The helmet does feature a very nice flip down little antenna there, which comes across his eye perfectly, and yeah, there's no complaints there. That is nice and snug. It doesn't seem like it's going to fall down or anything like that. And I just gotta say, like, the overall detail of this figure is just, it's impressive. And I know on Instagram there are some people that have been griping about this figure because it's kind of animated, it's not realistic, but it's in the Black Series line, which is, you know, priding itself on being realistic. But I gotta say, I really don't mind. Like, yeah, you could have seen this guy bulked up a little bit. He is maybe a little bit thin compared to like other clone troopers because they've went with more of the animated look, and he is technically wearing like commando armor, so that should be much bulkier. But I just gotta say, like, this is what I signed on for when I started collecting Black Series. The amount of detail, and yeah, there's a little bit of damage that I incurred from keeping him posed like that too long, but that's more on me than it is the figure. Overall, this thing is just so cool, and oddly enough, when I got it in hand, I wasn't sure if I would like it that much. The Bad Batch hadn't aired yet. I'd seen the episodes in the Clone Wars Season 7 where I was like, yeah, that's pretty good, he's pretty cool, but having him in hand, something about this figure is that it has a cool factor. It is a cool action figure. The design is cool. He's not... I don't really care if he's in the Bad Batch or if he's a clone trooper, but if I was a kid, if I was a 12-year-old kid with a pen and paper and I was designing like my clone trooper, this would kind of be what it would look like. It'd be some sort of overly designed, dark colored, kind of stealthy covert ops with red markings and skulls. It's just cool. It has a coolness factor. In fact, the more I think about it, the more I think that the Bad Batch overall has a coolness factor. However, this guy is the coolest. And while I'm on the topic of ranting and raving about how nice this figure is, I give props to Hasbro on this figure in particular, and maybe the rest of the Bad Batch will be like this. I assume that they will, but every single area of this armor is scratched up. It's scuffed up. You can kind of see there's actually sculpted damage in the figure. It's on the shoulder armor, it's on the chest armor, it's everywhere. And while I would have appreciated like a paint wash to go over it and really bring those out, that's something I can do myself, and it will just bring out so much detail in this figure in all the sculpt. And like you can see it here on the shin guards, it looks like they have been through a lot of battles and seen a lot of different worlds. Another great thing with this figure are the design choices that they made with it. Not so much in the appearance, but rather the technical aspects of it. This bandolier piece is made out of a flexible rubber. You can kind of see there, I did crease it just a little bit because I had him in that folded arm position for quite a while, so kind of be careful with how you tuck that piece in when you do bring his arm up. You can kind of see it folds outwards, so maybe bring the arm out and then tuck that in and do something more like that. But either way, it's really nice that that is soft plastic so that there is mobility there. Another thing that I really appreciate is the shoulder pads are a softer plastic. You can kind of see they're flexible, they're rubbery, but they're attached up here at the upper torso so you can get a full range of motion. But something that they've really improved on from like the Stormtrooper and Kamino Clone Trooper original releases is that now it's attached to the shoulder. Somehow in here in the torso, it's wrapped around the shoulder joint. So while yes, it is free floating from that shoulder joint, and you can get all the way up there without like causing it to be damaged or like have to go under the torso, it is also somehow attached to that shoulder joint. So when you bring the arm up, the shoulder pad travels with it. Now you kind of have to grip them both together when you do this, but it will follow all the way around on that arm and have no issues whatsoever. This is something that I really appreciate because otherwise you'd have something like this where you bring the arm up and the shoulder pad kind of flexes and it looks ugly, it looks nasty. It's not something you want to see with your figures. But this is an improvement because now on both arms, if you bring them up, they will move the shoulder pad with them, and that is just, oh, it's a good thing to see. I know Hasbro has been taking a lot of flack with distribution and all kinds of other issues. I kind of agree with some of those complaints. However, seeing something like this on a figure is really pleasing because they did a good job with this figure. If I had to complain about one thing, it would be this arm right here, which is a reuse from the Hunter figure. He would have a combat knife attached right there. Since he doesn't, it's just like an open hole in his forearm. I could have done with that being replaced with just like a retooled forearm, but I guess it's not the biggest deal. It's kind of one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I could complain about it, but I also think that this figure is super cool, so I'm not going to. So now we gotta talk about articulation. For that, we'll pop the helmet off. He is on a double ball jointed system, so the base of the neck has a ball joint, which gets you some rotation, some spinning action, and then his head is also on a ball joint. So you can get really all kinds of crazy movements, side to side tilt. You can get back if you position it right. You can get forward. It's really impressive what kind of articulation you can get with this figure. And it's perfect for the character because, you know, he's a little bit more agile. He's a little bit more, you know, ninja-like. And you got to have those kinds of points of articulation to really get those action poses going. At the shoulder, you have the hinge and the swivel, which is pretty common. As I already showed, it swivels all the way around, and then it can hinge well past 90, which is really nice to see. The elbows are single jointed, however, they are really nicely articulated. You can get past 90 with those elbows. And then down at the hands, he has the hinge and the swivel, this one being a swivel and an in and an out joint. And then this one here being the up and the down joint, which is really perfect. He can definitely hold his blaster very easily. It kind of just pops in like that. And then you got to kind of tuck that, that plastic armor piece around, and then just like that. He can hold it very well, which I'm surprised because it is a little bit of an oversized blaster. It's not like your standard DC-15 or anything like that, but he holds it very well. You can also see it here with his helmet on. He can hold that really nicely, and it looks so cool. Flip the little visor down there, and he is ready to do some damage. So then moving down to the torso, he has a really nice ball joint system here, so he can get side to side very nicely. Forward and back is also pretty solid. Again, it's really nice to see an agile character have a equally agile figure sculpt. To the side, and then you swivel that knee right on down, and he can get into a pretty decent kneeling position. I know that people do have a gripe with the knee pad being like swiveled off to the side. You could always cut it off and attach it to the knee if you felt so inclined. And I do understand where they're coming from, but again, I really appreciate having that knee swivel so that you can have, you know, the character actually properly kneeling instead of having their leg at a really weird angle. So it's kind of a trade-off, you know, it's kind of a weird trade-off. I'm not entirely sure what made them want to put the knee pad on the thigh instead of on the knee, but I guess we're just gonna have to roll with it for now. Then moving down to the foot, you have the hinge and the rocker, so you can hinge it out to there, you can hinge it forward, and then you can rock it side to side, which is great. I would honestly say, just looking at this, I could be wrong, but just looking at this and the color of plastic, I believe that this is a complete reuse without any recoloring whatsoever of the Camino clone. Holding them side by side, I can see I'm actually wrong about that. It is a little bit lighter on the Camino clone. It's a little bit darker on Crosshair, but the plastic is the same, so it is a little bit different. It's a little bit strange going from this more like satin or matte finish here going to more of a gloss finish on the foot, but that's purely down to the type of plastic that they used on the two parts, so I guess that is what it is. So there we have it, the Star Wars Black Series Crosshair figure. And I suppose you might be wondering, how does he look next to other clone troopers? So here is my slightly modified Camino clone trooper. Let's stand them next to each other, and you can see they're pretty much the same height, which I think is a little inaccurate because Crosshair is technically supposed to be a little bit taller because of his mutation. He's a little bit more slender and a little bit taller, but you know, I'm not going to get too nitpicky with scale issues in that sense. He will look really nice next to other clone troopers. And although I don't have my Hunter figure yet, I'm sure he will look really nice next to the other members of the Bad Batch. But there we have it, Star Wars Black Series Crosshair. This figure is just so cool. Now, I did get mine from GameStop.com. It was in stock maybe a week or so ago, so if you want it, it might still be in stock there, but I don't know if that's a guarantee. However, I think there still is a pre-order up for him from Entertainment Earth. There's a link down in my description, the link tree. If you click that, the top link is going to be to Entertainment Earth, and you should be able to find a pre-order for him as well as the rest of the Bad Batch if you're still looking for these figures. It might take a little bit to get it since it would be like the second shipment, not the first shipment that this guy was part of, but still, at least that way you're guaranteed to get them, and you can always cancel it if you find it in stores someday. Overall, this figure just has every feature that I want to see in a Star Wars clone trooper. Has a cool blaster, you can put the blaster in the backpack, removable helmet, little flip down antenna, the shoulder pads have really improved, and the knees, I can't get over the knees. But overall, even if you disregard all of that, this figure is just so cool. It has a massive coolness factor to it, and I don't know why. I don't know what it is about it, but Crosshair is just a cool character, and the design is just cool. It is the perfect, like, kid design, and the inner kid in me is extremely happy that not only did they make this character, but they also made an action figure of it, and I think that that is just perfect. But anyways, guys, that's where I'm gonna wrap up this review. I think that if you can find this figure, even if you maybe don't like the Bad Batch and you just like clone troopers, definitely pick this guy up if you have the chance. But yeah, there's not much else to say. It's a cool figure. As always, there's the link down in the description, like I said, takes you to Entertainment Earth, takes you to my Instagram if you want to check out my toy photography. I'll be taking photos of this guy very, very soon, I hope. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, subscribing, liking, commenting, all of the fun, cool, random, weird YouTube things that go on around here. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate each and every one of you guys who takes the time to watch, comment, listen, and all that. I just appreciate you guys. So, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.